Alright guys, I'm going to be leaving that in, but this is going to be part 2 of the Declaration of Independence, and if you guys want to watch my part 1 video, today I'm going to be doing my part 2, and I'm going to be talking about the signers. So, in June of 1776, a committee was commissioned to a draft of the Declaration of Independence. This committee consisted of Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert R. Livingston. The draft was made by Jefferson, and after a few verbal alterations by Dr. Franklin and Mr. Adams, it was submitted to Congress on the 28th of June. On the 1st of July, 9 states voted for independence. On the 4th of July, the 13 United Colonies declared themselves free and independent states. John Hancock, the president of the Congress, was the only one to sign it that day. It was released to the world with his only signature, but on August 2nd, 1776, all but one of the 56 signers put their pens to the parchment. Matthew Thornton, the lone absentee, did not sign until November. So, New Hampshire, John Bartlett, 1729 to 1795, a doctor. He was elected to the provincial legislature of New Hampshire in 1765, but turned against the British when the Stamp Act was passed. He served as a member of the Continental Congress from 1774 to 1778. He was appointed Chief Justice of the State's Court of Common Pleas in 1779 and elected the first governor of New Hampshire in 1793 under the new federal constitution. William Whipple, 1730 to 1785, elected a member of the Continental Congress in 1776. He resigned from Congress in 1777. Having been appointed a brigadier general of the New Hampshire militia, he recruited and equipped troops, then led a brigade against the Bourguigny and was serving under General Gates. When Bourguigny was captured, he acted as a judge and federal commissioner from 1782 to 1785. Matthew Thornton, 1714 to 1803, an advocate of the colonists' rights from the middle of the century on. He was appointed a delegate on the Continental Congress on September 1776 and was allowed to sign the Declaration of Independence when he took a seat in November, 4 months after its publication. Thornton left Congress in 1778 and resumed his duties as a judge of the New Hampshire Superior Court. He resigned in 1782. Massachusetts, John Hancock, a symbol of open resistance to British rule. Even after the Boston Massacre of 1770, he became president of the Continental Congress in 1775 and released the Declaration of Independence July 4, 1776. His bold signature, the only one on the document, the first elected governor of Massachusetts. Hancock was instrumental in getting his state to ratify the new U.S. Constitution in 1788. Robert Treat Paine, elected a member of the Provincial Assembly in 1773 and a member of the General Congress in 1774. He left Congress in 1777 to become Attorney General of Massachusetts. He helped frame the state constitution adopted in 1780, appointed a Supreme Court judge in 1790. And he served in that capacity until he retired in 1804. Elbridge Gerry, 1744 to 1814, active in Massachusetts politics. He was a member of the Provincial Congress at the time of the Battle of Bunker Hill. Elected to the Continental Congress 1776, he retired in 1780 and was re-elected in 1783 and retired again in 1785. He served as a U.S. Congressman 1789 to 93 and as a governor 1810 to 11. In 1811, he became Vice President of the United States under James Madison and died in office. John Adams, Massachusetts, a lawyer. He was chosen by the representative to the Provincial Assembly in 1770. The same year, he successfully defended the British soldiers involved in the Boston Massacre. Elected to the First Continental Congress in 1774 and 1776, he helped draft the Declaration of Independence. Adams served 2 terms as Vice President under George Washington, then was elected second President of the United States, and he and Jefferson passed away on the same day, July 4th, 1826. Samuel Adams, He began agitating for independence in 1763 and was elected to the General Assembly in 1765 and the Colonial Congress in 1776. A loud and visible spokesman for freedom, only he and Jan Hannock were excluded from the general pardon offered to the rebellious patriots in 1775. Elected to the Continental Congress in 1774, he retired from Congress in 1781. Rhode Island, Stephen Hopkins, 1707 to 1785, elected governor of Rhode Island in 1756. He became an early opponent of the repressive British policies in 1774. While Chief Justice of Rhode Island, he was elected to the Continental Congress. He served on the committee that drafted the Articles of Confederation in 1778. Opposed to slavery, he freed his own slaves in 1774. And then Rhode Island, William Ellery. Let me just take a quick drink. (1727 to 1820), a successful lawyer, Ellery was so infuriated at the British with his patriotic activities that they burned down his home and destroyed most of his property when they took Newport. He served as Rhode Island Supreme Court Justice after the U.S. Constitution was adopted in 1788. He was appointed collector for the Port of Newport and retained that position for the rest of his life. Connecticut, Roger Sherman, 1721 to 1793, self-educated. He became a lawyer and a judge, politically active in Connecticut from 1755. He was elected to the Continental Congress in 1774. He was appointed to the committee to prepare a draft of the Declaration of Independence and remained in Congress throughout the war. A delegate to the Constitutional Convention of 1787, he then served in the U.S. House 1789 to 91 and U.S. Senate 1791 to 93. Samuel Huntington, 1732 to 1796, another self-taught lawyer. He was elected to the General Assembly of Connecticut in 1764, appointed as Superior Court Judge in 1774, and delegated to the Continental Congress in 1775. He succeeded John Jay as President of Congress in 1779 and served in that capacity until 1781. In 1785, he became Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut and moved up to Governor the following year and died while still in office. Connecticut, William Williams, 1731 to 1811. Williams held a seat in the Connecticut Assembly for 45 years and was elected to the General Congress in 1775. He fought in the Connecticut militia during the Revolutionary War and spent his own money to further the war effort. He retired from politics in 1804. Oliver Wolcott, 1726 to 1797, delegated to the Second General Congress in 1775. He returned to Connecticut after signing the Declaration and took command of 14 militia regiments. He served throughout the Revolutionary War, recruiting and leading troops as needed. He helped General Gates defeat Burgoyne at Saratoga in 1777. He successfully defended the southwestern coast of Connecticut in 1779 and remained military active until 1783. He was a lieutenant governor of Connecticut in 1787 to 96 and governor 1796 to 97. New York, William Floyd, 1734 to 1821, first elected to Congress in 1774. He also engaged in the military exercises as commander of the militia of Suffolk County in New York. British troops occupied his mansion and estate for 7 years while he served in federal Congress, and in the state Senate. He was elected to the first Congress to convene under the new Constitution in 79 and continued in various public offices until his death. New York, Philip Livingston. So 1716 to 1778, he began his public career in 1754 as an alderman of Eastward of New York City, elected to the first Connecticut Congress in 1774 and to the first New York Senate in 1777. He died in 1778 while Congress was in session. Francis Lewis, 1713 to 1803, a wealthy businessman. He represented New York at the Colonial Congress of 1765 and served in the Continental Congress 1774 to 79. When the British captured Long Island, his property was destroyed and his wife taken prisoner and confined for several months. Lewis Morrison, first elected to the Continental Congress in 1775. Morris signed the Declaration even though he knew he risked losing his vast wealth and possessions. His brother, Governor Morris, succeeded him in Congress in 1777. New Jersey, Richard Saxon. He joined 1730 to 1781. He joined the New Jersey Supreme Court in 1774 and was elected to the General Congress in 1776. Captured by the British, he was treated harshly for having signed the Declaration of Independence and lost his health as well as his wealth. Tragedy, guys. You could, yeah, I mean, just hearing that story, you could tell that people, he lost his health and as well, so he's probably tortured for that. But John Witherspoon, 1722 to 1794, he emigrated to America in 1778 to take over as president of the New Jersey College, now Princeton University. Elected to the General Congress in 1776, he served on many of the most important committees until 1782. Francis Hopkinson, 1737 to 1791, he served as New Jersey delegate to the General Congress in 1776 and loan commissioner for a number of years. After officiating as Judge of Admiralty for Pennsylvania, he was appointed district judge of that state by President Washington in 1790. John Hart, 1714 to 1780, active in the promoting freedom since 1765. He was elected to the First Continental Congress in 1774. He retired in 1775 to tend to his estate, but served as vice president of the Provincial Congress of New Jersey, a delegate to the General Congress in 1776. He lost everything when the British overran New Jersey. Abraham Clark, 1726 to 1794, elected to the Continental Congress in 1776. He remained in Congress until the war ended in 1783. His two sons were incarcerated by the British on the prison ship Jersey. Politically active in 1788, he was elected to the first Congress under the new Constitution. Pennsylvania, Robert Morris, 1733 to 1806, a successful Philadelphia businessman. He was elected to the General Congress in 1775 and immediately took over finances. When the United States could not obtain credit, he personally secured the financing necessary to continue and complete the Revolutionary War. In 1781, Morris established a creditable banking system in Philadelphia and was appointed by Congress the first Secretary of the Treasury. A delegate to the Constitutional Convention, he was elected as senator to the first U.S. Congress and retired after one full term. Benjamin Rush, 1745 to 1813. Rush began championing the cause of freedom in 1768 and was elected to Congress in 1776. He was appointed physician general of the military hospitals by Congress in 1777 and serves as president of the Mint 1788 to 1802. A distinguished author, professor, and physician, he attracted thousands of students from the United States and Europe to his lectures in Philadelphia. John Morton, a member of the General Assembly of Pennsylvania, was a delegate to the Stamp Act of Congress in 1765. He was appointed a delegate to the General Congress in 1774, 1775, and 1776, and cast the deciding vote in favor of independence. Pennsylvania James Smith, 1720 to 1806, and 1774. He raised and drilled the first volunteer militia at York, where he resided. He was active in creating a state constitution for Pennsylvania during the Revolutionary War. He was a member of the team advising and superintending all military operations. He remained in Congress until 1778, then went to the state legislature for a year. Benjamin Franklin, 1706 to 1790, inventor, statesman, philosopher, and military tactician. Dr. Franklin represented Pennsylvania and London as early as 1757. In England, when the Stamp Act was passed in 1765, he returned to the colonies in 1775 and was elected to the General Congress that year. And the next, he helped draft the Declaration of Independence. Through over 70, he returned to France in 1776 and negotiating a Treaty of Alliance in 1778. France acknowledged America's independence and pledged military and financial aid. Franklin signed the peace treaty with England in 1783, but did not return home until 1785. George Taylor, 1716 to 1781, a member of the Colonial Assembly in 1764. He was elected to the Provincial Congress in 1775. He was appointed to the General Congress in 1776 and remained in Congress for 1 year. Let's see, we got another Pennsylvania, then we got Delaware, what else? Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and then Georgia. All right, guys, we're almost halfway through. George Clymer, very active in organizing resistance to the British in, let's see here, in Philadelphia before the Revolutionary War. He was appointed to the General Congress in 1776 and remained a member of Congress until 1783. During the Revolutionary War, he negotiated treaties with the Indians in western Pennsylvania to stop attacks on settlers there, and after the war helped Robert Morris set up a national bank in Philadelphia. James Wilson, he was elected to the Provincial Assembly in 1774 and to the General Congress from 1775 to 1777, and from 1783 to 1787. He helped frame the U.S. Constitution and chaired the committee that reported the first draft appointed by U.S. Supreme Court by President Washington in 1789. He also served as a judge of the U.S. Supreme Circuit Court and died while on a judicial circuit in North Carolina. George Ross, 1730 to 1780, one of 7 delegates from Pennsylvania to the First General Congress in 1774. He remained in Congress until 1777. A peacemaker as well as a patriot, Ross sought justice from the Indian tribes in his state and helped negotiate peace treaties with them. He also defended the rights of his despised Tories. Delaware, George Reed, 1734 to 1798, a member of the General Assembly of Delaware from 1765 to 1778. He was elected to the Continental Congress from 1774 to 1776, withdrawing in 1777 to spend more time on state issues. He was a delegate to the Constitutional Convention in 1787 and was elected to the U.S. Senate from 1788 to 1793. From 1793 to 1798, he presided as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Delaware. Caesar Rodney, 1730 to 1783, selected as a delegate to the Stamp Act Congress of 1765 and chosen as a Speaker of the Provincial Assembly to 1769 to 74. He was elected to the Continental Congress from 1774 to 1778. Appointed Brigadier General of his province by Congress, he put down Tory uprisings in Delaware, and after joining Washington's main army when Howe marched on Philadelphia, returned to Delaware to help maintain a state of equilibrium there. Thomas McKean, 1734 to 1817, a Delaware delegate to the Stamp Act Congress. He was elected to the General Congress in 70, remained a member of the Continental until the Peace Treaty of 1783. He wrote the Delaware Constitution in 1776, claimed by both Delaware and Pennsylvania. He was Chief Justice of Pennsylvania from 1779 to 1799, then governor from 1800 to 1808. Maryland, Thomas Stone. Guys, I'm just going to name off the names and just end off with George Washington. Thomas Stone, Samuel Chase, William Paca, Charles Carnell, Richard Henley Lee, George Withey. Fine, guys. I'll read it. All right. A Maryland delegate from the First Continent in 17. He then worked on the committee that framed the Articles of Confederation in 17 and resigned from Congress in 1778 to labor for their adoption in the state legislature. He returned to Congress in 1783 and was present when General Washington resided his military commission, and in 1784 served as President of Congress. Samuel Chase, 1741 to 1811.
How's everyone?
All right, guys. One of 5 Maryland delegates to the First Continental Congress in 1774. Chase remained in Congress until 1778. He was appointed Chief Justice of the Maryland Supreme Court in 1788 and was nominated to the United States Supreme Court by President Washington in 1796. Served as a Superior Court Justice for 15 years. William Paca, 1740 to 1799. Paca was a member of the Continental Congress from 1774 to 1778. When he was appointed Chief Justice of the Maryland Supreme Court in 1782, he was elected Governor of Maryland and then retired after one term. member of the Maryland Convention to ratify the U.S. Constitution in 1788. His efforts led President Washington to name him a U.S. District Judge for Maryland in 1789. Charles Carroll, 1732 to 1832, a fierce advocate of independence. He fought members of his own legislature to have freedom proclaimed and was elected to the Continental Congress only in 1776. Too late to vote for approval of the Declaration, but not too late to sign. He remained politically active until 1801 and outlived all the other signers of the Declaration. Virginia, Richard Henry Lee, 1732 to 1794, elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses at age 25. He was the first Virginia publicly to oppose the Stamp Act, a delegate to the General Congress. He introduced the resolution for total separation from England on June 7, 1776, a member of Congress until 1779, again from 1784 to 1789. He was the first U.S. Senator from Virginia under the new Constitution, which he had opposed. George Wythe, 1726 to 1806, a member of the Virginia House of Burgesses. He was elected to the General Congress in 1775, and in 1776 he was chosen as the Speaker of the House of Burgesses. He was a judge in the Virginia High Court of Chancery 1778 to 86, a Virginia delegate to the Constitutional Convention, and twice elected to the U.S. Senate. He freed all his adult slaves during his lifetime. Virginia elected Benjamin Harrison, elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses. At a young age, he soon became a speaker, a delegate to the First Continental Congress in 1774. He remained in Congress until 1777. He was a member of the Virginia legislature and speaker 1777 to 82. 1784 to 91, governor of Virginia, 1782 to 84. He was the father of President William Henry Harrison and great father of Benjamin. Thomas Jefferson, 1743 to 1826. He was elected to the Virginia legislature in 1769 and to the Continental Congress in 1775. He chaired the committee to draft the Declaration and wrote the first draft in 1779. He succeeded Patrick Henry as governor of Virginia, Washington's first Secretary of State, Vice President under John Adams, and third President of the United States. He was the founder and rector of the University of Virginia. Jefferson's library, purchased by Congress for $30,000 in 1815. He became the first component of the Library of Congress. He joined on July 4th, 1826. Captured Braxton. He became a member of the Virginia House of Burgesses in 1765 and was elected to Continental Congress in 1774. He returned to the Virginia legislature in 1776 and continuing there until 1785. He was appointed due to the state council 1786 to 91 and again 1794 to 97. Virginia, Thomas Nelson Jr., elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses in 1774. He was elected to the General Congress that same year, the first proposed to a state of militias to defend the rights of the people. He was appointed commander-in-chief of the state forces in 1777, and he used his own resources to recruit troops. He succeeded Jefferson as governor in 1781, but retained command of his troops and took part in the Battle of Yorktown and the capture of Cornwallis in 1781. 1734 to 1797, a member of the Virginia legislature from 1765 to 1775. Lee was elected to the Continental Congress in 1775. He served in Congress until 1779 and was on the committee that framed the Articles of Confederation. He was elected to the Virginia Senate in 1799, but retired after one session. North Carolina, Joseph Huey's 1730 to 1779. He moved to North Carolina from New Jersey in 1760 and was elected to the legislature in 1763, delegate to the General Congress of 1774. He was elected again in 1775 and as head of the Naval Committee was in effect of the first Secretary of the Navy. Soon after signing the Declaration in 76, he left to tend to his business, but he returned to Congress in 1779 and died in Philadelphia. North Carolina, William Hooper. He studied 1742 to 1790. He studied law under James Otis before moving to North Carolina. elected to the Provincial Assembly in 1773 and appointed as the state's first delegate to the Continental Congress in 1774. He began agitating for complete separation from England as early as 1775. He remained in Congress until 1777, then returned to North Carolina to protect his home and family. John Penn, 1741 to 1788, largely self-taught. He was admitted to the bar in Virginia at 21. He moved to South Carolina in 70 and was elected as a delegate of the Continental Congress in 1775. So is that actually 22? Was he 22 years old when he got? In 1780, authorized by the state legislature to organize the defense of the western part of the state against Cornwallis's army invading from the south. He and his patriots bands harassed the British troops and kept them out of Virginia. South Carolina, Edward Rutledge, 1749 to 1800, a delegate from South Carolina at the First General Congress in 1774. He was reelected in 1775, 1776, and 1779. He returned to South Carolina to help defend the state and was taken prisoner in 1780 during the siege of Charleston and shipped to St. Augustine. Exchanged after a year, he was active in the state legislature until elected to the U.S. Senate in 1794. South Carolina, Thomas Hayward Jr., involved in the Patriot cause after the Stamp Act of 1765. He was chosen a delegate from South Carolina to the General Congress in 1775 and remained in Congress until 1778. In 1778, he was appointed a judge in South Carolina and sat on the bench until 1798, commissioned during the Revolutionary War. He was wounded, then later captured and sent to St. Augustine for a year. Thomas Lynch Jr., 1749 to 1779. In 1776, Lynch was elected to replace his ailing father as a South Carolina delegate to the Continental Congress. After signing the Declaration, he resigned to escort his father home, but the old man died in Annapolis. Ill himself, the son and his young wife embarked for the south of Europe to recuperate, but their ship disappeared at sea. Elected as a delegate to the General Congress in 1776, he remained as Congress until 1777. He joined in the defense of South Carolina, had his estate ravaged by the British in 1779, and was taken prisoner in 1780 and sent to St. Augustine. Exchange after a year, he was elected to Congress, then left in 1782 and was representative in the state legislature until 1787. Georgia, Button Gwinnett, 1732 to 1777. Born in England in 1770, he emerged to Charleston, then moved to Georgia in 1772. At first opposed to take a break with England, he joined the cause in 1775 and was elected to the Continental Congress in 1775. He remained in Congress until 1777 when he joined the state convention to write a constitution. He was elected president of the council but lost his life in a duel that same year. Ouch. Lyman Hall, 1721 to 1784, a doctor. He emigrated to Georgia from New England and was instrumental in getting that state to join the cause of freedom. Delegated to the General Congress in 1775 as an independent, then elected one of the 5 delegates from Georgia in 1776. He remained Congress until 1780. The British confiscated his property, but in 1782 he removed to Georgia. In 1783 he was elected governor. George Walton, 1740 to 1804, he moved to Georgia from Virginia, but did not begin practicing law until 1774. Appointed one of the 5 delegates to the Continental Congress in 1776. Walton remained in Congress until 1778, when he returned home to help defend the state as colonel of a regiment. Wounded and captured in the war, he later served as the governor, congressman, U.S. senator, and chief justice of Georgia. And guys, I'll just show you, there's some portraits as well, so I'll just show you those before I end off the video. So you guys can't see it that well, but here. Yeah, actually guys, just leave a comment down below who your favorite signer is in the Declaration of Independence. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, and smash that notification bell, hit the like button, and have a wonderful day. Alright, well guys, this is going to be one of the first episodes of this WT gameplay, World of Tanks gameplay, so let's just hop right into it and go for a battle. This is Type 59, one of the rarest tanks currently exists in the game. say one of the rarest because it was discontinued, and even those that were sold, very few were bought. It used to be a much more prestigious tank, but it kind of went down after it got nerfed. But it used to be a very, very strong tank. Looking at our lineup, it is, let's see here, about the same as theirs. 2 TDs, a little bit heavier since we have a OBG 257, but they also have a lot more tier 8 heavies than we do, so I'd say it's about balanced on both sides. This is Redshire. It's an interesting map actually. I got spotted. Poking around the hill. This is usually where the mediums play. More to the left now. Okay. So we got a tier 9 over here. And a T30 covering him. So it looks like we've pretty much lost this flank, considering we're outnumbered 4 to 9 pretty much. And I exclude Artie because you never know. I wouldn't really count Artie as a support. The best thing to do right now is to fall back, not completely, but to a Alright, looks like now is the time to fall back to a very far away back position. I see. Probably push on that IS-3 is the best bet and hold with this 263. Pretty much control half the flank right now, so we're not that poorly off, but it is still quite dangerous if you think about it. Yeah, see, that was not good. Oh. A moment like this, I'd have to look back and really just see the mistakes that were made, and I would say that the main mistakes that I see happening is not going down one line, because if I went down one line, then I'd be able to support down the 4 line without any problem. And probably could have slowed the rush. Better. But I don't look at this battle as a determinant. I'm usually just going to analyze the mistake and make sure that I don't repeat it again. And then in this case, I'd be leaving the one line open, and because down on the 3, there's no really good support position, and I was playing a support in this tank since I was in a tier 9 battle. Yeah. It's completely fine though, because I can redeem myself. Another battle. This will probably be the last battle as well that I run. But even looking at that first battle, guys, can't let, even if you do 213 damage one game, you can't let that discourage you from seeing the bigger picture, which is the 213 damage game at the end of the day, it's not going to leave you in ruins, so to speak, and you'll pretty much survive from it. It's not going to affect you to the point where you're going to say, oh no, I did so poorly on a 213 damage game, I might as well not play another battle. It's just one of those things. Sometimes and I wouldn't even put my blame that much on the team, because you could pretty much carry every single game to a certain degree past a limit of how much your tank can do, and just shells. If your tank only has a certain amount of shells, you can only do a certain amount of damage, just what your tank is capped at. But even without running out of shells, protecting your teammates as well shouldn't really be a problem. Also like this new design on the map on Fjord's one of my favorite maps actually. This looks pretty nice. Looks like they really added that in or changed it. It's really cool. Let's see here. Even this was changed a little bit. I think I might have gotten spotted from that, maybe not. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to flank around and see what's hiding over there. And I'm going to go over to this rock for cover and see, okay, well, one of our tanks already died there. So I keep on moving. and I find a P44 that hits me for 240 damage. He was hitting pretty well, so we'll give him that. And his armor is angled very box-like, which gives him an advantage over mine. Mine's more angled, his boxy everything, as well as the turret as well. Why is that an advantage? Well, because the hill's kind of at an angle. I was trying to see. Okay, I see. So one of the ways to be able to get him is if I completely clip around like this. It looks like probably, yeah, he's probably going to penetrate me. And it looks like he has, now he's starting to run away. That guy's just making a lot of bad moves right there. 200 damage games. Absolutely terrible. Not used to the new map though, but not going to use that as an excuse. We're just going to pretty much just learn how this map changed. I can even see that this whole thing changed. A complete new layout of the map. No, they didn't have a lot of TDs, which means that it'd be smart for me to go where this KV3 is going. You look at the same thing as this Oni, he's pretty much getting flanked. If I was at the KV3, I'd be able to support him. We're pretty much taking everything into consideration. That P44 Pantera pretty much really took down a lot of my HP, and that their KV85 pretty much supported him from the bushes. One thing that did not help is a AFK 1700 heavy tank. That probably should have gone towards the island down at J4 to hold. And other than that, I can't really spot any other reasons why we didn't get this. Our team was lighter as well. We had a lot of lighter tanks, had a lot of really heavier tanks. Even if you look at the T-3045Ms, much better tank than a VK 30.01D. Didn't really have a lot of lineups were about the same, I'd say, but at this point, you see that you get 200 damage games in one tank. You could either choose to go for a third battle, test your luck, or you can completely end it there. I think what I'll do is probably go for 113 and test my luck. Can definitely see numbers dropping though, because usually it's around 40,000 total, and now it's only 13,305, which is pretty low. Total players, so usually you get a lot higher. You used to have East and West around 20 each. Alright, so fully tier 10. And let's see. Heavies match up, medium tanks match up. This looks pretty balanced on both sides in terms of composition. Though there is three bats and we only have two. But other than that, everything looks pretty squared up, except for the 2684s. They have two, and we only have one, which is kind of a problem, but this will do, this will do. Looks like this map stayed relatively the same. Probably load a gold round for my second round. Just load it now. I'll keep it as my second round. Yep, so cap stayed the same. Looks like an artillery round. I have to stay already safe. There's a 907. Try going wide. Yeah, I figured that would happen. I'm assuming Artie is pretty much clipped out on the backup anyway. I don't think I'm on Artie's priority though. good sign that our bat shed is that close, because that means they're losing control of the map. Oh, I bet you are. He's going to target me right now. Yeah. Almost, guys. Almost. Damn. Pretty much at this point, the only thing you can do is either scout or snipe, and I don't really want to snipe when we're down 4 tanks. Oh my god. FB's about to die. Yeah. Look how tiny the helmets are compared to the actual turret. It's insane. Super tiny. Oh. This is one of those scenarios where it could be a win, but it's highly unlikely. Could be though, actually. I've seen games pulled out with only 2 meds, a couple RDs. It's not that difficult actually. Okay, RD's about to drown. Nice. A little 1945 badge on the side. Let's take a look at this other RD. Ooh, this already won't make it. Nope. Oh no, he made it. Nice. Alright guys, well 3 piss poor battles later, I'm going to leave it there and just leave the episode here, and then we'll see how the next one goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys are World of Tanks fans or not, name what your favorite tank is. And hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for more of these gameplay vids. Alright. Okay, I gotta... Oh. Just gonna leave that in there. Why not? Alright guys, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Hey guys, how are you doing? Just wanted to record a video today about the daily grind. I'm gonna call this my daily grind series, but really just in general, you know, it's gonna be a quick minute video. The power of really persistence and how this actually relates to a book I currently recently read. It's called Ray Kroc, you know, Grinding It Out, Ray Kroc, and he talks about how, you know, the creation of McDonald's and kind of all the struggles that he went through. Now, why is that important? That's important because you guys need to be more persistent in whatever you want to do. Whether that be to score an A+ on a math test or hit the 100 meter in the fastest time you've ever hit it, it all comes down with persistence and never giving up. And I guess that's what this video really addresses, is just persistence and never giving up, and just continuing to keep on going to continue achieving your dreams. And I even noticed this with, you know, even smaller, you know, maintenance things. Like, it just happens over and over again. So that's my quick 1 minute video, guys. Hope you guys love this video. Really amazing. Yeah, just the power of persistence and Ray Kroc. You know, just tying that back to what Ray Kroc said in his book. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day.